Mental illness. I'm just going to get right into this. Being lonely and feeling isolated. This is something I struggle with on a daily basis, and I've been struggling with this since childhood. Loneliness isn't just a lack of people around, it's the quiet awareness that no one really notices when you disappear. Isolation is like being trapped in a soundproof glass box. You can see others, hear their laughter, but you cannot join them. You watch connection happen around you while feeling like a bystander, left to navigate your own thoughts and frustrations. The experience of isolation isn't just emotional, it's a magnifying glass for the little things people ignore. Every pause, every half hearted smile, every tiny betrayal feels amplified. Even when someone finally reaches out, loneliness can make it difficult to respond authentically. You either withdraw, overshare, or react in ways that feel inappropriate because your mind is already overwhelmed by its own noise. Isolation has a strange duality. It sharpens perception while also heightening anxiety. It reminds you that humans are fundamentally self absorbed and that connection requires vulnerability, a risk that can feel exhausting or unsafe. Yet sometimes solitude is comforting because it's predictable and controllable in a world that often is not. The hardest part is that loneliness doesn't disappear in a crowd or amidst distractions. Even surrounded by people, even among those who care, the feeling can linger. It doesn't negotiate, it doesn't compromise, it simply exists, forcing reflection on one's own fears, needs, and desires. Loneliness is a teacher, a mirror, and sometimes a curse. It's painful, disorienting, and unavoidable at times, but surviving it, maintaining a sense of humor or self awareness, and continuing to seek meaningful connections despite it is one of the most profound acts of resilience a human can perform. Now, I want to get into what I believe to be the history of mental illness. Mental illness is older than civilization, older than language, older than hope. It started in the dark, wet corners of the human mind before anyone even had a name for it, before anyone dared to whisper that some thoughts are dangerous not because of reality, but because of the brain's own rebellion. Madness was everywhere, in shamans and kings, in the poor screaming at the sky, and it was worshipped, feared, ignored, locked away, dissected. In ancient times, illness of the mind was often thought to be possession. The gods or demons or angry spirits had taken over the fragile machinery of thought. You screamed, you saw visions, you whispered to the walls. It was a message, a punishment, a curse, and yet strangely people listened. They performed rituals, exorcisms, dances that bent the body into shapes meant to bend the mind back into compliance. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but always it was terrifying. Fast forward, and humanity discovered asylums, big gray looming asylums full of people whose brains had failed them, or maybe whose society had failed them. Chains, straitjackets, ice baths, shock therapy, science pretending to understand the human mind, poking at it, trying to catalog the chaos. And still the mind screamed. Diagnosis became a word, medicine became a mantra. Pills promised stability, but often delivered numbness or more chaos in a different flavor. And here we are now in an age where mental illness is both medicalized and monetized. Therapy apps, pharmaceuticals, hashtags, TikTok affirmations. The brain is a commodity, a puzzle, a problem, yet despite centuries of attempts to explain, to label, to cure, madness persists. It is adaptive, evolutionary, a glitch in the code that reminds us we are fragile, self aware, and entirely capable of terrorizing ourselves. History is a loop of horror and hope. We feared it, mocked it, studied it, medicated it, and still it rises, shape shifting, whispering in the spaces between neurons, and maybe that's the point. Mental illness is part of what it means to be alive the tension, the collapse, the brilliance, the despair. It is a history written not in books, but in the trembling, screaming, beautiful human mind. And if you sit still enough or stare too long, you can almost see the thread connecting the shamans, the asylum patients, the modern brain scans, and yourself. This endless, chaotic pulse of consciousness that refuses to obey, refuses to be silenced, refuses to disappear. Madness is not new, and it never was, and it never will be. Living inside the brain. My personal struggles with autism, uh, general major depression, generalized anxiety, and borderline personality disorder. Living inside the brain. It starts in the silence or maybe the noise, hard to tell. The brain isn't a brain, it's a storm, a machine, a haunted cathedral. Autism is the wiring. Everything is bright, too loud, too sharp, too precise. Thoughts spin in loops. Social cues are invisible, like trying to read Morse code underwater while someone is screaming. You notice everything, you notice nothing. You're outside looking in, and inside is a maze. Then depression drapes over everything like a wet blanket soaked in acid. Colors dull, thoughts drag like iron chains. The sky doesn't exist anymore, or maybe it does, but it's mocking you. You try to move, but movement feels optional, optional like oxygen, optional like survival. Pleasure is a myth, nothing is real, everything hurts and nothing hurts. Anxiety bursts in like a grenade you can't throw back, heart pounding, hand shaking, thoughts screaming in a loop. Did I say that wrong? Did I mess it up? Did I ruin everything? Are they leaving? Am I leaving? Am I even alive? The world is too loud, too bright, too fast. You are too fast, too slow, too fragile, too wrong. And then borderline personality disorder joins the party. Emotions like tsunamis shifting in seconds. You love, you hate, you need, you reject. Relationships are impossible because everything is extreme and fragile and temporary. You grasp at stability like trying to hold water in your hands. You fail constantly, you fail spectacularly, and you apologize endlessly to ghosts and living people alike. Living with all of this is like staring into the sun while trapped underwater while someone is playing drums on your skull. Sensory input, chemical storms, emotional hurricanes all fused together in one unrelenting human experiment. The world feels too big, too small, too cruel, too meaningless, too loud, too quiet. But sometimes there's music, sometimes there's rhythm, sometimes you catch a glimpse of a pattern in the chaos, a melody in the noise, a pulse that reminds you you're still alive, you survive, you scream, you create, you feel. And maybe in that fleeting moment, the brain, fractured, chaotic, insane, feels like it could almost be a home. Because living like this is terrifying, it's exhausting, it's surreal, but it's also strangely beautiful. The edges are sharper, the colors are more vivid, the emotions are intense and raw. Pain and brilliance are entangled in ways most people will never understand. And surviving it barely, chaotically alive, is nothing short of extraordinary. Now, to wrap this up, I would like to give a DBT skills, a how to guide to my fellow borderline personality disorder, or BPT for short, um, allies. My peers that suffer from this condition as well, or are living with this condition. I wouldn't say suffering, but I would say suffering in my experience. So, DBT skills, a how to guide. All right, life is messy, minds are messy, emotions are messy, and DBT, which stands for Dialectical Behavior Therapy, is basically a tool set for surviving the insanity without burning your apartment down or screaming at your cat. Here's how it works in the delirious, frantic way it actually feels when you're aware that everything could collapse at any second. Mindfulness. Look at the chaos, don't drown in it. This one is simple but impossible. Be present. Watch your thoughts like they're tiny, twitching creatures inside your skull. Do not judge them, do not react, just watch. Feel the pulse of your own anxiety, your own longing, your own frustration like a heartbeat in your ear. It is terrifying, it is beautiful, and it is terrifying again. That is mindfulness. Distress tolerance. Survive the apocalypse of your own mind. Sometimes the world is just too much, too loud, too bright, too full of feelings that could melt your brain. Distress tolerance is basically learning to not explode while your inner universe collapses. Radical acceptance helps like saying, yes, my chest is on fire, my brain is screaming, and that's just Tuesday. Distraction helps. Self soothing helps. And yes, sometimes you just write it out like a cosmic surfer on the waves of your own despair. Emotion regulation. Don't let your feelings murder your life. Feelings are chemical, unpredictable, often wrong. They're loud, insistent, insatiable. DBT teaches you to name them, understand them, and navigate them without losing your mind. Sometimes you breathe, sometimes you scream, sometimes you write a song that makes no sense but somehow purges the chaos. The point is to survive yourself. Interpersonal effectiveness. Ask for what you need without imploding. Humans are terrible, communication is terrifying, but DBT teaches us to ask for what you need. Say no without guilt and maintain your own sanity while still pretending to be part of society. Sometimes it works and sometimes it backfires catastrophically, but practice, that's the only trick. Validation. You exist, you matter, even if the universe doesn't care. This is the part nobody wants to admit. Validation isn't about others, it's about you. Yes, you're overwhelmed. Yes, you're lost. Yes, your brain is trying to kill you. Say it, feel it, survive it. Sometimes surviving is the only victory that actually matters. DBT is not magical, it's not perfect, it's messy, like life itself. And using it awake in your own chaotic head feels like juggling flaming knives while riding a tidal wave. But somehow it works. It slows the collapse, it teaches us breathing, it teaches living, even when everything is screaming that life feels pointless. And now, actually, to end this video off, I'm going to end with life riddles. Like I'm a fucking jester in this club or in this YouTube video. I can barely speak correctly. Wow. Blame my Mercury and Pisces, guys. Don't worry about it. Some life riddles for you. I am everywhere, yet nowhere. I am the pulse beneath your pulse. You chase me, but I vanish when found. What am I? The answer is reality, or maybe anxiety. I build you up and tear you down. I live in the gaps between heartbeat and thought. I am both nightmare and lullaby. What am I? Answer: life, or the illusion of control. You hold me, but I cannot be held. You see me, but I am not seen. I vanish if you look too closely. What am I? Answer: time, or the fleeting now. I am the lie you tell to survive, the truth that scares you awake at 3 a.m. I am love, I am fear, I am nothing. What am I? Answer: yourself. You can run, but I follow. You can hide, but I wait. I am the song you didn't write, the scream you didn't hear. I am inevitable. What am I? Answer: death, or entropy, or Tuesday. I am the thing you crave yet deny. I am the whisper behind the music. I am the laugh that comes too late. I am life, or maybe just coke fueled hallucination. What am I? Answer: existence. Take it or leave it. Every choice a spiral, every breath a chaos. You think you steer, but I am the tide. What am I? The answer: fate, or maybe that void you have in your chest.